Alright, welcome back to this video. In this video I'm going to talk to you now about the concept of being short stocks. So we just did the previous example where I said if you bought 100 shares of stocks XYZ at $43, you paid $4,300 for it. This was your cost basis point, and anything that you moved this way was a profit, anything you moved this way was a loss, and the profit was unlimited profit and the loss was your capital commitment there, negative $4,300. Okay? So now I'm going to talk to you about the concept of being short. So let's do short in let's do short in red, why not? Okay, so short is going to be the red color here. So let's say that we want to short 100 shares of XYZ, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to short it at $43. So a lot of people have some confusion about how does a short work. Well, the basic idea with a short is that you're going to borrow some shares from a pool of stocks. So that sounds kind of confusing because when you're dealing with futures and you're dealing with commodities, you don't necessarily have to borrow anything, you can just sell, right? So the point of this is that stocks are kind of unique in that there's a fixed number of shares. Okay, there's a fixed number of shares, and that means that there always has to be a mark, an exact mark for the amount of shares that are long, or in the amount of shares that are short. In other words, not an exact mark in terms of there's equal shorts and longs, but the shorts can never exceed the longs. Okay, that's something called naked shorting. We have the concept in economics of supply and demand, right? And that's, moves these curves back and forth. But let's talk about something here. With stocks, in reality, we have a fixed supply, right? So that's really out of the equation. That's a constant. So stocks are really just a function of demand. There's a fixed issue of shares. You can't issue more shares or remove the shares. It's just demand. Okay. So this is why the shorts. This is why you have to borrow the shares. There's all kinds of problems here. But if a broker runs out of shares, then you're out of luck. You can't short the stock. So you're dealing with a lot of issues from the beginning when you're shorting stock. Okay. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clone this line here, and I'm going to make an exact opposite line just to show you at $43. We would be moving through this point like this, only in the opposite direction. So now, instead of dealing with the profit going up as we go down the price graph here, in other words, as we go this way, we would actually lose money, right? So in this case, we would be dealing with the profit would be going up this way. Okay, there's our profit going this way, and our loss now is going to go this way. Okay, loss is going to go this way. So it's just a complete opposite. But the problem is now that the loss here is unlimited. Okay, so that's the difference here. The loss is unlimited, right? Why is the loss unlimited now if you're dealing with a short stock? Because this stock price can go on forever. Okay, so you have an infinite loss potential. And you have a limited gain here of $4,300. And this is one of the reasons why people look down upon shorting, because when you're shorting the stock, you have a limited gain. So shorts are really good when you're dealing with stocks. Shorts are really good for short-term plays, okay? Because the market drops quickly, you want to take advantage of that, okay? So that's the idea of that. So one of the things I want you to focus on here, though, in this series is looking at these two graphs. As price moves one unit, profit moves another unit. So you see how I went from corner to corner of that graph? You see how I went from one corner to one quarter? Okay? That angle right there is 45 degrees, okay? And this angle here is 45 degrees. It has a slope of 1-to-1 slope. But I want you to pay close attention to that, because that angle that these lines are going to make is important when we're dealing with options. Okay, so for example, just a little review here. This is 90 degrees like this. This is 90 degrees, okay? And so if we split that means 90 degrees there, okay? 90 degrees. So if we split that down the middle, if I take this line here and I take a bisector, if I bisect that angle, I'm going to split it into 45 and 45 like this, okay? Why should we care about angles of a graph when I'm talking about stocks? Well, the answer is that the slope of this line will change depending upon how many shares you have, how many contracts you have, and we need to understand that 45-degree, because when we get into the options, when we start talking about calls and puts, this angle is going to always snap. It's going to change at 45 degrees at a time depending upon what we're doing. Okay, so I just want to clarify that right now, that this angle is very critical when we're dealing with options, especially when we're going to talk about constructing spreads, vertical spreads, calendar spreads, collars, butterflies, iron condors. All of these option products are going to be built upon the premise of this basic graph here. So when you see a graph and the slope is positive, okay, that's always going to be a long in terms of the stock, and the slope is negative here, that's going to be a short. Okay, that's just a very simple way to look at this. All right, that's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.